Level 1, the matches. It's June 2026. The World Cup has started. But in South Africa, football is not the only thing that is trending. Your phone is buzzing before breakfast. Not from the agent, not from the coach, not from the national team WhatsApp group, from your mother. 3 missed calls, 2 voice notes, 1 message. Don't wear the Bafana tracksuit outside today. You sit up in your apartment in Cape Town Park and open your first verse note. It's not about Mexico. It's not about tactics. It's about the matches. Benoni, Johannesburg, Pretoria, East London, Durban. People carrying the South African flag. People shouting into their phone cameras. People saying foreigners must leave. Some forward a poster with the date circled in red, 30 June. Your mother sends another message. You know how people are now. Just stay inside. You stay at the screen, and then you look across the room. Your Bafana bag is already packed. Boots, shin pads, training gear, passport. The passport. The passport is the only one thing you had looking at. Because in South Africa, people only ask where you were born or where you come from when they are angry. Your name is Tendai Beast, not the rugby beast, the football beast. Born in Zimbabwe, raised in South Africa. Wanted by both countries only when it's convenient. And right now, South Africa is asking foreigners to go home while praying on one of them to save their World Cup. But 2, the boy from Badbridge. You were not born in Johannesburg. You were born in Zimbabwe. Your father says Chitungwiza. Your mother says Harare. Your uncle says it does not matter. Because the real birth happened in Badbridge. That is where your life split into 2. You were 11, old enough to remember Zimbabwe and young enough to be remade by South Africa. You remember the bus, the plastic bag with the clothes, the warm mazoe your mother packed, the way your father kept checking papers like they were oxygen. On the Zimbabwean side, you were living. On the South African side, you were arriving. But nobody told you that arriving is not the same as belonging. You grew up in Hillbrow first, then Kempton Park, then a back room behind the spaza shop near Tembisa. Your father worked security. Your mother cleaned offices at night. You learned 3 languages badly before you learned 1 language properly. Shona at home, English at school, Zulu from the boys who wanted you to belong or who wanted to test you. The word you learned fastest was not even a language. Kwere kwere. At first you thought it was a joke. Then you heard how adults said it. Then you heard how police said it. Then you heard how kids said it when they did not want you on your team. That is when football became useful. Because football does not ask your birth certificate before the ball comes to your feet. Level 3, the first nickname. You got the name Beast before you earned it. At 12, you were not strong. You were skinny, long knees, big forehead, second-hand boots from a church donation box. The right boot was Nike and the left boot was Adidas. Your friends called you Tender Step because your legs looked like green beans. Then one Saturday, at a dusky ground in Tembisa, an old boy twice your size pushed you into a drainage ditch. Everybody laughed. You climbed out with mud in your face. You did not fight him. You just waited. Next game, some boy received the ball with his back to you. You came through so hard, the whole field went quiet. Clean tackle. Ball first, man second. He rolled 3 times on the ground. Someone shouted, "Yo, this Zimbabwean is a beast," the name stayed. Not because you scored. You almost never scored then. It stayed because every time someone tried to embarrass you, you came back harder. At home, your father liked the name for different reason. He liked Tendai Beast, the real beast. He loved the guy. The Zimbabwean boy, Springbok, the man who became South African enough when South Africa needed him. Your father used to point at the TV and say, that one had to earn his country every weekend. He did not understand it. You do now. Level 4, the academy. The academy was in Pretoria. Not one of those beautiful academy you see on YouTube with perfect grass and drone shots. This one had a fence with holes in it. The gym that smelled like wet socks. A physio room with one ice machine that worked only when it wanted. The coach had a whistle, a clipboard, and no patience for stories. First day, he asked everyone, where did you come from? Soweto, Mamelodi, Katihong. When you say Zimbabwe, two boys looked at each other and smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind that says they have already found your weakness. You were not the most technical. You were not the fastest. You were not the one doing stepovers for TikTok. You were the one who stayed after training collecting coins because you did not want the coach to forget you. Then the GPS verse came. Numbers after every season. High speed runs, distance covered, pressing action, acceleration. The statistics came. For the first time, something measured what people could not see. You were on the top of the goals. Not goals, not assists, not dribbles. But every Monday, your name was the first in distance covered. The coach started calling you battery. The boys still called you foreigner. The data called you useful. This is how your career began. Not with talent, with proof. Level 5, PSL. Your first professional contract came from a PSL club nobody outside South Africa took serious. Not Chiefs, not Pirates, not Sundowns. A club with 3,000 people in the stadium on a good day and 300 when it rained. Your salary was more money than your father ever seen in one payslip. You bought groceries first, meal, cooking oil, chicken, a full tray of eggs. Then you bought your mother a proper phone because the old one had cracked screen that made everyone look like ghosts. Your first match was away. You came on the 73rd minute. The commentator mispronounced your surname. The friends behind the goal called you Zimbabwean. Not your name, just Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe. Show us something. You did. Not a goal, a tackle, then another. Then an interception that started the counter attack. By full time, the same friends were asking for selfies. That was the first time you understood the transaction. If you struggle, you are a foreigner. If you perform, you are one of ours. Level 6, the big club. 2 seasons later, Orlando Pirates called. Your agent cried before you did. Because now, you were no longer a footballer. You were content. Pirates fans made edits for you before you even signed. Chief fans said you were overrated. Sundown fans said they did not need you. Zimbabwean Facebook groups called you our boy. South African radio callers asked why local boys were being overlooked. Your first Soweto derby was chaos. 90,000 people making one stadium feel like a court case. Every touch judged. Every misplaced pass turned into evidence. In the 61st minute, a Chiefs midfielder tried to body you near the halfway line. You bounced it off him. You won the ball, played it wide. 4 passes later, Pirates scored. The clip went viral. Not because of the pass, because of the caption someone put under it. The Beast from Zimbabwe. You hated it. You loved it. You reposted it anyway. Level 7, Bafana. The Bafana call came on one Tuesday. You were in training. Your phone was in your locker. When you came back, there were 46 missed calls. Your agent, your mother, your father, 3 cousins you have never spoken to since 2018. The coach had already told the media. National team South Africa, Bafana Bafana. That's right. Everyone had an opinion. Zimbabweans said you betrayed the Warriors. South Africans said you should be grateful. Some fans said talent is talent. Others said the national team should be for real South Africans. You open Twitter or X. as it is now. Closed it. Open TikTok. Closed it. Faster. One video had your face next to the South African flag and the Zimbabwean flag. The caption said, "Whose beast is he?" You stared at it for way too long because that had always been the question. Level 8, June 11, Mexico City, World Cup opener, Estadio Azteca, Mexico City. The stadium looked like history with floodlights. You stood in a tunnel wearing a green and gold shirt. Mexican fans were already singing. Somewhere behind the South African goal, a few supporters had bought vuvuzelas all the way from home. Not enough to sound like 2010, and they were banned, the vuvuzelas. Just enough to remind everyone of the vuvuzela. One moment you forgot everything, the matches, the comments, the passport debates, the interviews. Then the whistle blew. 9 minutes. Mexico scored. The stadium exploded. You looked at the scoreboard and told yourself there was time. Then the game became heavier. Every pass slow. Every tackle let. Every South African touch nervous. Second half, another goal. Mexico 2, South Africa 0. Then red cards. 1. Then another one. By the end, Bafana had 9 men. Level 9, the blame. The next morning, your phone was a crime scene. Why is Zimbabwean leading our line? Send him to the Warriors. Foreigners are taking our jobs. Now penalties? You people wanted him. Here he is. You had not even taken a red card. You had not even missed a penalty. You had not even been the worst player. But you were the easiest story. Outside the hotel, reporters waited. Inside the hotel, players ate breakfast in silence. Eggs, toast, fruit. Atlanta decides everything. Level 10, the table. Later that night, South Africa beat Czech. Now Group A had teeth. Mexico on top, South Korea with 3 points. Czech, wounded but alive. South Africa last, 0 points. Minus 2 goals difference. 2 red cards. One national, one panic attack. On TV, pundits started doing permutations. If South Africa lose to Czech, it is not mathematically over. But it becomes a kind of alive where you need calculators, favors, goals, disciplines, points, prayers. Your father called. He did not say hello. He said, "Remember, Beast." You knew which one? The rugby one. The first Tendai who had to be excellent before people stopped asking where he came from. Your father said he did not answer with interviews. He answered with work. Then he hung up. That was his love language. Level 11, Atlanta. June 18, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta. Czech versus South Africa. A noon kickoff. The kind of match where the sun outside feels happier than everybody inside. The stadium roof made every shout-out bounce back like accusations. Before warm-up, you saw the South African fans. Not as many as Mexico, but loud. Flags. A man in the front row held the sign. "Beast, give us life." You almost smiled. Then you saw another comment on a live stream. "Today, he must prove that he deserves the passport." There it was again. Football as an immigration hearing. The game started badly. Czech were organized, tall, calm. European in that annoying way, every throw-in looked rehearsed. South Africa were nervous. Nobody looked and wanted to make a mistake that ended up the tournament. By halftime, it was 0-0. In the dressing room, the coach did not shout. That was worse, even worse. He just looked at the board, then at you, then said, "One chance, that is all you may get." Level 12, the first answer. The chance came in the 70th minute. Not from a beautiful football, from panic. A loose check pass near the midfield. Their centre back thought he had time. He did not. You pressed, stole it. The ball bounced ugly. Your first touch was bad. Your second saved your life. You drove forward. One defender came, then another, and another. The old you would have shot. The angry you got, the smart you waited. You slipped the football wide. The winger crossed low. The midfields arrived late. Goal. South Africa 1. Check. 0. You did not score. You were not even officially credited with the assist. But every player ran to you first because they know how the goal started. In Johannesburg, bars exploded. In Harare, people screamed like Zimbabwe is scoring. In comments, the same account changed language. Not Zimbabwean-born. Now it was our beasts. Football is funny. It does not cure hypocrisy. It just exposes it. HD. Level 13, our beasts. The next morning, the headline softened. Not all of them. Some still ask questions, but the mood had changed. Radio callers who wanted you dropped now and said you brought energy. The TikTok edits used with Amapiano beats. Someone put your taco over a clip on Tendai Beast scrumming in the Springbok jersey. Caption, 2 Tendais, 1 country, same question. You watched it 3 times, then deleted the app for the day. Because praise can be as dangerous as hate. Hate tells you that you are nothing. Praise tells you that you are safe. You were not safe. South Korea was coming. Level 14, the week between. The week before South Korea was strange. South Africa was tense. The matches were still going on. Politicians were still talking. Foreigners were still nervous. But now your face back home was everywhere. Taxis, TVs, barber shops, spaza shops, fridges, sports pages. You walked through the hotel lobby and saw yourself on the screen. And the analysts were talking. One said, he represents what modern South Africa is. Then another said, we must be careful. National identity matters. You laughed. Not because it was funny, because those people had turned your life into studio topic content. Nobody on that panel knew what it felt like to be 12 years old and hide your accent on the playground. Nobody knew what it felt like carrying 2 countries and they claimed you, but sometimes not. Nobody knew that your mother kept your first expired Zimbabwean passport inside the Bible. They just needed something to argue about during kickoff. Level 13, June 24, the stadium BBVA, Monterrey, South Africa versus Korea. Same time, Mexico were playing Czech in Mexico City. 2 matches, 1 goal, 1,000 permutations. Every South African WhatsApp group became a mathematician. It was a mathematical department. In Mexico, beat South Africa, if South Africa draw, if Korea wins, if there's a goal difference, if it's fair play, if this, if that, if red cards, if goals, it was if. Your team bus arrived 2 hours before kickoff. South African fans were outside singing. Korean fans had drums. Mexican police were trying to keep traffic moving. Inside your headphones, you had no music, just silence. The same silence from the bus at Bedbridge. The same silence from your first PSL away game. The same silence before every moment that could change your life. Silence. In the decider, South Korea were not scared. They had 3 points already. They moved the ball quickly. Their midfield pressed like machines. Every time South Africa lost possession, the stadium made that sound crowd. In 34 minutes, South Korea scored. Not a mistake. Just quality. 1 run behind the fullback, 1 cut back, 1 finish. Clean. South Africa, 0. South Korea, 1. Suddenly, every phone in South Africa refreshed at once. Mexico, check score, group table, live standing, calculations, permutations, best third place table. People who had never read FIFA regulations in their life were now experts in conduct points. At halftime, the coach finally shouted, not tactics, not systems, just the truth. Do you want to go home? Remembered as the team that came back after 16 years and left after 3 games. Nobody answered. You did not need to. Level 17, the equalizer. The equalizer came from pain, not talent. Pain. You chased a ball you had no right to reach and to be chasing. The Korean defender shielded it. You kept running. He expected you to stop, of course. but you did not. You stepped your foot around him. You kept it in play by maybe 2 centimeters. The assistant referee did not lift the flag. The cross came from a terrible angle. It hit a defender, bounced. It hit your knee, dropped. For a half second, the whole World Cup waited. You swung. Not clean, not pretty, not the kind of goal children practice. The ball skidded through bodies and went in off the post. South Africa won, South Korea won. You did not hear the stadium. You only saw the net move, then bodies, green shirts, gold shirts, arms around your neck, someone shouting your name like they have invented it. Back home, the country lost it. In a tavern in Soweto, strangers hugged. In a flat back home, the country lost its mind. In a tavern in Soweto, strangers hugged. In a flat in Hillbrow, Zimbabweans screamed with curtains closed. In a house in Chitungwiza, your grandmother asked why everyone was making noise. Your mother cried before the replay even finished. Level 18, the question. The match ended 1-1. Nobody knew immediately if it was enough. Players stood on the pitch staring at the screens. Mexico had beaten Czech. The table shifted. The numbers settled. South Africa was alive. Maybe second, maybe third, maybe though, maybe waiting, but alive. That was enough for the stadium to sing. After the match, a reporter stopped you. Same smile, same microphone, same pundit, same question dressed differently. Tendai, tonight South Africans are calling you a national hero. Do you feel South Africans now? You looked at him. You looked at the camera. You thought about the matches, the voice notes, the passport, the academy boys, the PLCL chants, the Mexico comments, the sign in Atlanta. Your father saying, "Remember, Beast, do you feel South African enough?" Then you said, "When I was struggling, nobody asked if I was South African. When people were shouting foreigners, nobody asked how long I've been here. Now that I have scored, everybody wants to know where I belong. I was born in Zimbabwe. I was raised in South Africa. But tonight, I played for every African kid we have never been got the chance." The clip went viral. Viral like a wound. People argued. People cried. People got angry. People pretended they had always supported you. Level 19, the round of 32. The World Cup did not stop. Of course, the World Cup does not stop. That is the cruel thing about tournaments. Your emotional breakthrough is just content for the next match. Round 32 now, a bigger opponent, a bigger stadium, more cameras, more people pretending they understood the story from the beginning. By now, children were wearing your name. Not just South African children, Zimbabwean children, Mozambican children, Malawian children, African children. Kids in the school uniform kicking the plastic ball after class. Kids in the flats where parents whispered, then matches nearby. Level 20, the real beast. Maybe South Africans win that knockout match. Maybe they lose. Maybe they reach the quarterfinals. Maybe the dream ends with tired legs and one bad clearance. That is football. But the real story was never the score. The real story was the contradiction. A country marching against foreigners while cheering one foreigner. A country arguing about borders while needing a boy who crossed one. A country asking who belongs while wearing your name at the back. Years later, people still argue about you. Zimbabweans say he was ours first. South Africans say he became ours here. Pundits say he represented a complicated national conversation. Your father says nothing that long. He just points at the TV when They show you your goal and says, that is my son. Then he adds, the football beast. And somewhere in Kempton Park, a young boy, a Zimbabwean surname and the South African accent, watches a replay. He hears the chants. He sees the comment. He sees the matches too. He knows the world is not suddenly fixed. But for the first time, he understood something dangerous. Maybe the people who are told they do not belong are sometimes the people who change the story. Not because the country gives them permission, but because they become impossible.